So here we've got something super interesting. So Lev Parnas, who's basically a guy who's now trying to expose Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani for this whole Ukraine scandal, for trying to basically ouster Yovanovitch, who was like the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. And so he's literally releasing audio tapes of Donald Trump, which is pretty insane. So I've been trying to tell you guys for a long time, and it's not just me saying it, obviously a ton of people have been saying it. Bernie Sanders is Donald Trump's kryptonite, all right? Donnie knows that he would lose to Bernie Sanders because Bernie is his kryptonite, right? Trump is the fake populist, he's the faux populist. Bernie Sanders is the real populist. So we've actually got some confirmation here of this. Let's go ahead and hear this out.
Bernie Sanders, they rigged it. Bernie would have beat Hillary in them right now.
That would have been tougher.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there was no hatred.
Right, you're right. There was no hatred. Millennials were right.
As great as he was, half my motivation working was not let her do it.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think a big part of our
vice president would have been tougher.
Kane was what I couldn't.
But I think Bernie, because all those people that hated her so much who voted for me, I got 20% of Bernie vote. People don't realize that because of trade, because he's a big trade guy. He basically says we're getting screwed on trade, and he's right. I'm worse than he is, and we can do something about it. I don't know if he could have, but had she picked Bernie Sanders, it would have been tougher. It was the only one I didn't want her to pick. Now then you.
So here he says had she picked Bernie Sanders, it would have been tougher. He was the only one I didn't want her to pick. And again, it is because Donald Trump knows that Bernie Sanders is his kryptonite. Now, it's not like 20%, it's more like 8 to 10%, but there were also people who stayed home as well. But there were a lot of Obama voters who went for Donald Trump for the trade reason, and Trump knows that very well here. And it's very clear to him that this is the case. So, take it from Donald Trump, the guy himself, and I think that, there's some liberals who are saying that, he's afraid of Joe Biden. He's trying to prop up Bernie Sanders, which is really hilarious, obviously. But this just confirms, once again, that Donald Trump is well aware that Bernie Sanders is his kryptonite. He cannot defeat Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the candidate that he is afraid of. And, how can you really debate that? I mean, yeah. Is anyone really questioning whether or not Hillary Clinton picking Bernie Sanders would have made it more difficult for Donald Trump? Of course it would have. Could you imagine? It would have been essentially impossible for a Hillary-Bernie ticket to lose because you've got Hillary getting all the woke losers voting for her, and then you have Bernie getting progressives to vote for her. But it wouldn't have been all of the progressives. There would have been a contingent, I don't know if a Jimmy Dore type is going to vote for a Hillary Clinton Bernie Sanders ticket, but he knows that would have just completely sunk him. And so this is why I cannot stress to you guys enough, we need to nominate Bernie Sanders because he's the only guy who can beat Trump. I'm telling you, everyone else can beat Trump. I'm not just making this up. We're talking about Bernie Sanders polling the best with independents. We're talking about Bernie Sanders polling the best in national GE polls. And Joe Biden has the corruption, same stuff that's going to come up with Hunter Biden and Ukraine and all this other stuff. The same way that all the Clinton Foundation and the email scandal hurt Hillary Clinton. So if you're a moron and you want to relitigate the 2016 general, you're going to vote for Joe Biden or any of the other candidates, but specifically Joe Biden. If you want to defeat Donald Trump, you'll vote and support Bernie Sanders. Now, Hillary clearly seemed to have this deep-seated hatred of Bernie Sanders that seemed to pass the threshold of how much hatred you can have towards someone and them still be your vice president. Now, some people might say, because some people might say, this president didn't like this vice president. Yeah, but I think that this passes that threshold. But looks like we've got some evidence here of Donald Trump being aware of this fact.